from some of the best jazz artists. Delicious dinner options include the mouth-watering prime rib and crusted walleye. Crooner Supper Club is located just north of Highway 65 and 694. More at croonersmn.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting live on the Civic Media Radio Network. It's the Matt McNeil Show for your Friday. Good to be with you today. Matt and Brett coming up at 3:30-ish this afternoon. Brad Paff is going to join us. He's running for the Wisconsin 3rd against that absolute jackass who went after leftists saying they can't be patriots or Christians. Funny story, I'm both, and I'm a progressive. So, yeah, I want to smack that guy around a little bit in the when it comes to the election. So, guess what? We're going to have his opponent join us coming up here at 3:33. We'll talk about Brad Paff's campaign and how you can help. And once again, this is metro area. If you look at the Wisconsin 3rd District, it's basically just to the southeast, across the river, southeast there. That's kind of the northern part of the district, running all the way down to the southern border there. So La Crosse is in there. And yeah, that's the weird backwards Y-shaped one. Yeah, you didn't gerrymander at all, Republicans. Anyway, we'll talk to him coming up here in a little bit. And then John Crippen from the Hennepin History Museum joins us. Yep, we got something spooky to talk about. No, not my high school emo diary. No. Okay, I can't just do stuff like that to myself. Matt's high school emo diary. Oh, Michael Dukakis, why do you hurt me? Anyway, that's I'm
went Michael Dukakis.
It looks like it's raining, but on the inside. No, I am not sharing the contents of my 1980s emo diary, but we are going to talk about something spooky that happened here in Minnesota, and they've got an event coming up here on Saturday, Sunday night to talk about it. We had a serial killer. Do you know that?
Really?
In Minneapolis, St. Paul. Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he didn't really have, I mean, he was just more kind of a killer. You know, he didn't really, why put labels on somebody? I think that he just seemed to like to kill people. And so that's, this is a narcissistic individual. We'll talk about this. This is unbelievable when we talk about that. That's coming up here at about 4:35. So, obviously we want to start with, the breaking news from today, which actually happened last night. Paul Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi's husband, was at home in San Francisco when a man came through into the house and attacked him with a hammer. The suspect pulled the hammer away from Mr. Pelosi and violently assaulted him with it. The officers immediately tackled the suspect, disarmed him, took him up to custody, requested emergency backup, and rendered medical aid. The Scott identified the suspect as 42-year-old David DePape. And as you would expect, this guy is, well, clearly I think he's got some, mental capacity issues. I mean, I think that's for sure. But he has been making posts online about, 2020 election stolen and January 6th committee, how dare they, that sort of thing. And lo and behold, as exactly as most people have said, if you go on out there and encourage crazy people to do crazy things, guess what? They're going to basically, do that. That's just what's going to happen. The suspect entered the home looking for Nancy Pelosi, specifically asked for Nancy Pelosi. So he was there to attack Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, the number 3 most powerful person in the U.S. government. Before the attack, the intruder covered Paul Pelosi, saying, "Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy?" It's eerily similar to what Donald Trump supporter chanted as a mob search for Nancy Pelosi during the siege of the U.S. Capitol, where they were saying, "Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy?" Her office said Paul Pelosi is at the hospital. He was receiving excellent medical care, expected a full recovery. The U.S. Capitol Police announced they and the Federal Bureau of Investigation are helping San Francisco police investigate the attack. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer called the attack a dastardly act. The White House said President Joe Biden called Pelosi to express support. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy also reached out to the Speaker. The attack comes amid heightened concerns. By the way, it shouldn't be mentioned, there are more than a few Republicans who are taking one or two paths here. The governor of Virginia, that Republican jackass, he basically, they say he says they were making jokes. I don't know if he was making a joke. He was definitely making light of her. He comes out and said her husband was attacked, and where we don't condone violence, we want to send Nancy Pelosi back home to take care of him. What? Yikes, that was inappropriate, you massive jackass. Also, one of Trump's lawyers immediately has already said, well, this clearly was not what was supposed to happen. She apparently tried to deliver papers to the speaker before in the law capacity, and she doesn't seem to understand that while law enforcement might be at the front door of a residence so that when she goes to the front door, she experiences law enforcement is not necessarily waiting in their bedroom constantly when someone comes through a window or something like that. So I think that it's pretty disturbing. The Democratic spy whose district includes San Francisco suggested the attack could be political. I mean, I don't know why Democrats, Republicans at this point would be clearly running. It's political. There seems to be enough evidence where you can make that allegation. This is a political attack on the Speaker of the House. In August, Paul Pelosi pleaded guilty to misdemeanor charges of driving under the influence. He's faced scrutiny for stock trades. He wasn't there for him, though. Year-old blogs that appear to belong to DePape show posts about LSD, Burning Man, and quartz crystals. More recent posts show disturbing signs of right-wing radicalization. Two posts from August 26th of this year read pedophile normalization and black-pilled, the latter being internet slang for become hopelessly nihilistic regarding the government, society, or one owns life. Another post from 2020, August 26 reads, Hitlery did nothing wrong. Hitlery with a Y. Other complained about communist propaganda. One post simply labeled Q, an apparent reference to QAnon conspiracy, references a meme about the conspiracy theory involving wealthy pedophiles trafficking children. Another website with posts authored by David DePape shows him closely following various right-wing political obsessions like false claims of widespread voter fraud, Justice Department Special Counsel John Durham's investigation. Many others show his obsession with the Jew media, including a recent post about the war in Ukraine. The more Ukrainians die needlessly, the cheaper the land will be for the Jews to buy up. Wow. This morning, terrifying attack on Paul Pelosi by a man obsessed with election conspiracies is dangerous reality encouraged by some members of my own party. And absolutely it is. And I can only imagine that the House Republican leadership is frantically calling all their extremist guys and saying, say nothing. Say nothing. Don't encourage. Don't come on out there saying, well, attacking someone is wrong, but here's a snarky little comment, or attacking someone is wrong. And, I though understand why people are frustrated. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah. This is where we're at. This is where we're at. I'll share this just really quick here. I got a package here at the station. No name on it. I don't know what was in it. We just got rid of it because we don't know. We don't know. And yeah, I get threats. Yep, I do. I still think I get on the better end of it than most women do with the DMs they're getting. Holy God, man. Stop that, men. Stop. Zip your pants back up. No, pants back on. Pants back on. Stop it. No. Don't make me get the spray bottle. Dear Lord. I never realized how bad women get it until when Me Too started up, and I started like, how often does this happen? And here's 10 I received today. What? Yeah. It's the worst. I can't do that joke. Sorry. My bad. I got to back out of that one. All my best to Nancy Pelosi's husband. Obviously, this is horrible, and the reality is this is, I think, because this is all Republicans have got. This is all that Republicans have got. And we have talked about this before. And as a matter of fact, we talked about it yesterday. And, you know, when you have this Republican candidate down in the Wisconsin 3rd District who's out there saying, well, you can't be Christian if you're a liberal. You can't be patriotic if you're liberal. What does he think is going to happen when someone who's mentally compromised and has access to guns or other weapons basically acts on their, well, sure, I was just tell them that Democrats trying to kill them, their family, grandma, steal their dog, steal their house. I don't know why he went and got violent. Yeah, you don't? Because of you. Look in the mirror. It's because of you. You got to stop this. Maybe, if I may make a suggestion to Republicans, instead of trying to scare everyone into voting for you, I don't know, maybe come up with policy initiatives that you're willing to share with the public before you vote on them and then scream, they're perfect. Maybe you should. Maybe you should try to, I don't know, help your constituents. Help the farmers, help the working class, offer health care to people, try to cut back on the cost of the exploding cost of higher education. Maybe, I don't know, maybe, just maybe, when a pandemic rises up, instead of going out there and giving crap information, actually say, you know what, I want as many of you people to live as possible. Regardless of how you vote, I want you to live, so wear a mask and get vaccinated. Instead of pushing political points because Donald Trump said to. So that's my suggestion. You can stop this hateful rhetoric because you're at the point now where people are starting to attack the leaders of this country in their own houses. And by the way, Republicans, remember when you had threats to Supreme Court justices? You wanted everyone on the street arrested? Yeah. Now all of a sudden, a lot of you guys got real quiet. I noticed that one as well. We'll take a break. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
Nightingale is your cozy, comfortable neighborhood restaurant in the Whittier neighborhood at 26th and Lindale. Nightingale has patio, dining room, and bar seating available. Plus, they still have takeout and delivery. Their menu has lots of delicious options like the famous Nightingale burger and fries, ginger tamari chicken wings, smoked chicken liver pate, and more. They're open from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. daily with their full menu until midnight. So make the friendly neighborhood Nightingale your go-to restaurant in South Minneapolis. Place an order, make a reservation, and more at nightingalempls.com.
This is the Being Curious Show. I'm Brian Mariani, founder of No Shift Own.
And I'm Kelly Wagner, publisher of Edge Magazine. Our show is about curiously connecting teachers and seekers on a wide range of topics in a safe space.
And our intention is that these conversations spark your own curiosity that creates a life that totally lights you up.
We are on AM 950, Sundays at 2 p.m. and all podcast platforms. See you soon and stay curious.
Hello, this is Ellie Krug with Ellie 2.0 Radio. Now my show will be on Saturdays from 10 to 11 and replayed on Sundays from 1 to 2. You will get to the best of Ellie 2.0 with talking about idealism with guests who come in and who are idealistic, who are trying to change the world. And you will get me, Super Idealist. Tune in. We can't wait to hear from you. And you'll hear from me Saturdays from 10 to 11.
Native Roots Radio presents Rock the Vote Native Style, featuring local, regional, and national Native and ally candidates, politicians, and political activists, every week until midterm elections. Join us on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Rock the Vote Native Style, educating and empower Native people and BIPOC allies to take to the polls and make their voices heard. Rock the Vote Native Style, Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Central on Native Roots Radio.
Broadcasting live on Devil Radio 92.7 FM in Madison, WTTN 1580 AM in Columbus, Air Support Radio 98.3 Oshkosh, 1100 AM WISS in Berlin, and Lake Air WXCE 1260 in Amory. It's the Matt McNeil Show, coming to you live from the flagship station at AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota in Minneapolis, St. Paul, 952-946-6205. So the question Now, if I can relay this, because once again, coming up here in just about the 12 minutes or so, Brad Paff is going to join us. Wisconsin 3rd District. We're going to talk with him about his election campaign here to win that district and hold that for the Dems. So, Twitter. Brett, Elon Musk. Yes, that Elon Musk. He now owns it. Immediately fired a bunch of executives. Although it was pointed out almost immediately, he went to the advertisers, the big ones especially, and he said, don't worry, we clearly can't allow all speech on this, which is a pretty big abrupt change from what he'd been saying before. What he'd been saying before is that there was going to be no limits at all in any capacity on anything. And any kind of speech. And now he's basically saying, well, yeah, we're not going to allow some speech. Although I would be a little concerned. I'll get to that here in a second. The question here that's out here for a lot of people, because he is saying he's going to bring back the right-wing trolls, namely Trump and a lot of the other ones, who basically, because they had said so many bad things, had gotten removed from Twitter. And because reminder, I want to remind it, Trump, even though he probably should have been removed when he was putting out false information about the pandemic, Trump was finally removed when he tried to overthrow the government. And so to bring him back is Elon Musk basically, if he does bring him back, it's him basically saying, this is your victory lap. So what do you do? Do you keep Twitter or do you get rid of it? Seems to be a pretty large debate going on right now between both sides. And people out there saying, don't leave, don't let them win this. Trust me, I get that. You don't want to, show weakness, but my God, do you remember how you felt back when all these psychopaths were on that thing? And you'd go there for 20 minutes and you feel like you would age like the portrait of Dorian Gray. I mean, my God, it just felt, ugh. And here, so I mean, I understand that. I understand you want us to stay there to say a message. But I don't know, a large part of me wants to go. A large part of me wants to leave because I don't want any part of it. And here is immediately he almost immediately he opened Kanye West's Twitter feed after Kanye West went out there and said horrible things about the Jews. And so Elon Musk quickly gets in there and lets Kanye West, a man who has put out a lot of anti-Semitic hate, come there. And now you hear this story that Kanye West wanted to name his previous album Ye after Adolf Hitler, and apparently has an obsession with the Nazi leader. Sources who are close to the rapper told CNN. Sources told CNN that he openly admired Nazis for their use of propaganda and spoke about reading Hitler's manifesto Mein Kampf, seemingly contradicting his claim he's never read a book. He would praise Hitler by saying how incredible it was that he was able to accumulate so much power, and would talk about great things he and the Nazi party achieved for the German people. Multiple brands have cut ties with the rapper. His anti-Semitic comments on Twitter on October 8th, he basically called for DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. The tweet was removed for violating platform rules. Twitter spokesperson on October 9th said his account had been locked due to violation of Twitter's policies, but that's been opened again now because of Elon Musk. In addition to his social media posts, he claimed during an interview with Tucker Carlson that Jared Kushner, who is Jewish, had broken the Abraham Accords to make money. Unaired clips from the interview showed West making additional anti-Semitic statements. It's bad. But now we're gonna. And by the way, Kanye, if I can, Hitler wouldn't have liked you. I mean, he was pretty clear on this one. He did not. No, you can romanticize this guy all you like. No, you were not going to be his friend. That's just not there. That being said, this guy now has a platform on Twitter. Again, not I'm disagreeing with someone about transportation policy, but rather I'm going to make anti-Semitic comments. I don't want to hear anything about him. I don't want anyone retweeting him. I don't want to have it in my suggested pile And I got a bad feeling that that's going to be one of the first things that changes is all of a sudden you're going to have your recommended reading is going to be all these far right loon balls. And I don't want anything to do with it. And I think you're a fool if you don't think that Elon Musk is going to try his hardest to impact the 2022 election. Absolutely. So what do you do? Do you stay on it? I guarantee you this, if enough people leave, he'll take a bath. Especially if anyone else starts a social media platform that's even similar to Twitter. That says that, we're going to have standards. You're not going to be able to just say whatever you want to say, and you'll get banned, and that's that. I think a lot of people will jump to it. But that's the question. What would you do? Would you stay on Twitter, or are you going to leave? Brett, what about you? Well, you're not on Twitter anymore, are you?
I am not. No. But I did see that Donald Trump said he is not going back to Twitter.
When did
he said that an hour? He said he can't be successful without him.
Twitter can't.
Yeah.
Well, but that's give him another hour. I mean, he'll be out there with Elon Musk saying, "I'm successfully returning." Although, I mean, the question is this: was it Parler? Is that the alternate one that he started?
He did Truth Social.
Truth Social. Yeah. He did Truth Social. That's his baby. There are people that have said that he cannot have the contracts he wrote for that. Says he can't have a Twitter account.
Oh,
I don't know if that's the case. But that's it's
details haven't stopped Donald Trump from breaking agreements and contracts.
Well, they'll and get in line for the lawsuits on him.
But whether I would leave or not, I don't know. I think I might, because if it's just going to be do you like a 2000s message board, if you remember those back in the day before like social media, where people would just do terrible posts on message threads. That's what it's going to be like again.
What and people forget. I mean, it's been basically almost 2 years since a lot of those loon balls were thrown off. It's been about 2 years, and what you've got is a much more pleasant experience. I'm not saying it's great. I'm not saying it's 100% fantastic. No. But it's not the dread fest that it used to become, where I'm like, crap, I got to go look at Twitter. It got to a point where I would look at Twitter only when there would be like election night, or like there'd be a Twins game or something like that, where there would be something I could look for specific messages. I'm still debating it. I have a lot of friends who I really trust and respect saying, Matt, stick around. But I also have I got kids. I got kids. I don't want to necessarily, die at a computer. Okay. I don't want to. I want to live a life that's somewhat not a dreary cloud. When we do return, Brad Paff is going to join us. Wisconsin 3. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts.
So come check out their pizza and wine bar, or get a treat from the bakery made fresh daily. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout, along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
Warmer weather is here, and that means it's time for home improvement projects. If you're planning a remodel or property upgrade for your home or business, switching to solar energy should be part of your project, and All Energy Solar can help. Most home improvement projects don't pay for themselves until the property is sold, but switching to All Energy Solar is an investment that can actually pay for itself even if you don't sell your property. In fact, after 30 years of operation, solar energy could pay back 300 to 400% of the cost. Plus, a system from All Energy Solar is built to last, not just for years, but decades. Most systems from All Energy Solar come with a 25 to 30-year warranty. So make your home improvement project a better investment that can last and pay for itself by switching to All Energy Solar. Get a free, no-obligation assessment from All Energy Solar by calling 800-620-3370 or visiting allenergysolar.com. That's allenergysolar.com.
Hi, I'm Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. We know dental anxiety and dental phobia are real. We'll take the time to get to know you and give you what you need to be comfortable at all times. We offer free nitrous oxide laughing gas and have high-tech options to help you feel calm and relaxed during your appointments. We'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been going to Shamblat Family Dentistry for years. They get me in last minute when I'm in pain and make regular checkups easy and comfortable.
Shamblat Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblatfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
Hi, this is Desi Doyen of the Green News Report and the Bradcast. You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hi, my name is Frank Brown, owner of Minuteman Press Uptown. As the only minority-owned union printing company in Minnesota, I believe in giving back to the community and standing up for social justice. At Minuteman Press Uptown, we understand Black Lives Matter and know love is love. We're active in the Twin Cities fighting for racial, social, and economic justice. We believe our employees are vital to our success. That's why we pay above living wages with benefits.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. Yes, we choose Minuteman Press Uptown because they share our progressive values. But what I've learned with my many years of working with Frank and his team is they are much more than just a print shop. They have helped us with creative marketing ideas and materials. The design team has helped us every step of the way in creating new material. They always come with fresh and unique ideas to help promote AM 950. Call Minuteman Press Uptown at 612-870-0777 or visit mpuptown.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 62. Tonight, clear with a low around 44. And Saturday, sunny with a high around 66. Crooner's Supper Club is a little piece of old-school nightlife in the 21st century. Enjoy a delicious dinner, fabulous cocktails, and music from some of the best jazz artists. Delicious dinner options include the mouth-watering prime rib and crusted walleye. Crooner's Supper Club is located just north of Highway 65 and 694. More at croonersmn.com.
Broadcasting on the Civic Media Radio Network. It's the Matt McNeil Show on your Friday. Thanks for being with us today. 952-946-6205. For many of the stations on the network, including over at WFHR 1320 AM, 97.5 FM in Wisconsin Rapids, Stevens Point, here in Minneapolis, St. Paul, because it's part of the metro area, AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, as well as throughout the entire network. You are probably know of this candidate if he's not running to be your candidate right now in the Wisconsin 3rd District. Brad Paff is kind enough to join us to talk about his campaign for Wisconsin 3. Brad, thank you very much. I appreciate the time today.
Well, Matt, thank you very much for the opportunity. And good afternoon, listeners. I hope you're doing well. It's a beautiful day here in western Wisconsin, I'll tell you that.
I've spent a lot of time in that part of that part of the state. It's absolutely beautiful over there. It's apple picking time, too, which I always love.
Yes, it is. Yeah, yes, it is. It's a good time of the year. That's right. We know what's coming, the cold, so let's enjoy this fall while we can.
You are absolutely a fantastic candidate for this district. It is a gerrymandered district. It is kind of this backwards Y that's there, but I couldn't paint a better candidate for you. Your experience has been fantastic. Former leader of the Wisconsin Department of Agricultural Trade and the Consumer Protection, as well as also you have been the ranking member on the Agriculture and Tourism Committee in the state Senate. This is exactly the kind of person, the kind of experience that the people of Wisconsin 3 need.
I believe so, and I firmly believe on November 8th that we will defeat this insurrectionist opponent that I'm running against. Yeah, believe it or not, Matt, I am running against a candidate who was in Washington, D.C. on January 6th, that shameful, awful, deadly day in which 5 police officers lost their lives and tens of millions of dollars of public damage was done to our U.S. Capitol and U.S. Capitol grounds. This guy now has the audacity to think that he's going to serve this seat in the United States House of Representatives, and he's going to raise his hand to and pledge the oath to the U.S. Constitution after what he participated in on January 6th. And, you know, the people of this district know better. They know that this is not who we need in the United States House of Representatives. But, at the same time, there's always work to do. We got to make sure that we continue to get out and meet as many people as we can and, hear about the concerns that are taking place. Because, as you know, and your listeners know firsthand, the hardworking people in this country, they're being impacted by rising costs. And they want to make sure that they got a Washington, D.C. that is listening to them and is working for their interest. And I pledge to do that every single day.
Your opponent was at a prayer breakfast, so wildly inappropriate. He not only was he at a prayer breakfast, but he also was, trying to attack people with biblical passages, which was also inappropriate. But then he got to the point where, myself, I'm an Army veteran. I am a Christian. I go to a Lutheran church right now. For him to go on out there and say, if you're a leftist, you can't be, or a Democrat, implication being a Democrat, you can't be patriotic or a Christian, was so infuriating to me. And I've got to imagine for a lot of people in that district as well.
Oh, he insulted 50% of the people of this district. He's trying to tell people that they cannot be a Christian and, be a Democrat. I mean, that is just beyond the pale. I mean, this guy, the problem with him is that, he has no business telling us what we should and should not believe. But this was a direct attack on all the people in this district, not just the Democrats, but it was an attack on Christians and non-Christians alike. We do not want our politicians to start picking winners and losers when it comes to what religious beliefs. We want to make sure that we have our elected officials that will reach out and work with all of us, regardless of our, political ideology or our religious denomination, if we're Christian or non-Christian. We want to make sure that we've got an elected official to listen and hear and be responsive to our needs. What Derek Van Orden demonstrated is that he will not be there for those people that did not share his political beliefs as well as his extreme religious belief. And that is what's so disappointing. That is so wrong. And I'll say this, Matt, as a God-fearing, practicing Lutheran myself, I just know how wrong and how out of touch Derek Van Orden is to the people of this district. We have never seen anyone like this before run for Congress in Wisconsin. And I will just say, this guy, he has a history of sexually harassing women while he's in the military. He verbally harassed a teenage librarian aide about a book display celebrating Gay Pride Month. He has attacked voters on Twitter. He is on probation for trying to get on an airplane with a loaded handgun. He's now on probation by the TSA and has been mentioned. He was part of that shameful, awful, deadly day of January 6th in Washington, D.C., when the insurrection of our nation. And now he's trying to say who's a Christian and who's not a Christian.
Oh.
This is beyond the pale.
Well, and also the patriotic thing. If I can, I was down in South Carolina.
Sure.
I was on the USS Yorktown, that's harbored out there, and got to learn the stories of those people there. I volunteer occasionally over at Fort Snelling Memorial Cemetery, where the veterans are buried over there. The idea that this guy is going to put a political litmus test on, was he going to go dig up the bodies that didn't vote for Republicans and throw them out of those cemeteries? The idea that he has the audacity to declare that someone who doesn't believe his politics is not as patriotic as him is infuriating. And I'm actually daring him to come and tell that to my face. As a disabled vet, I want him to tell that to my face, for goodness sakes.
I agree. I mean, Matt, this guy needs to be held accountable. He needs to be stood up to. He's been a bully all his life. And the thing is, what he's doing right now is he is cowardly ignoring the voters of this district. He will not debate me. Debate me. I mean, this is, every one of your listeners has interviewed for a job. They have had to go before a boss and be interviewed for a job. He will not interview through a debate for this job. And that is, again, who does something like that? But he does. And you know why he won't interview for this job? Is because just like a private employer, if they knew his background, if the voters knew his background of being a narcissistic bully, someone who's harassed a teenage librarian aide, someone who participated in the January 6th insurrection in which 5 police officers lost their lives, and someone who tried to get on an airplane with a loaded handgun, I know nobody in the private sector, no private sector employer would hire him. But now he thinks that we, the taxpayers, the voters, should hire him to be our member of Congress. No, we know better than that.
Brad Paff is joining us, Wisconsin 3, the Democratic candidate down there. So I want to get into some of the issues here, and I want to focus on your experience. Obviously, you're the kind of perfect person to have in there because farmers, dairy producers, and you have experience as dairy family there. The dairy producers there have not. It's Republican policy has decimated the farming and the agricultural sector. We need people that are going to go in there and look at these margins and say that's not good enough. We need to make sure that these family farms are being taken care of, not just the large corporate farms, but all the agricultural industry, so that that everyone has a chance. I mean, that is Wisconsin right there.
That is Wisconsin. That's exactly right, Matt. That is exactly right, and that's Minnesota as well. To be honest, the thing is we need to have somebody in Congress that recognizes the day-to-day struggles that are taking place on the family farm, within our rural communities, at the kitchen table, that our hardworking families are facing. What Derek Van Orden is all about is about extremism. It's about division. It's about resentment. It's about saying you're not getting your fair share because your next door neighbor is getting too much. He doesn't want to build us up. He wants to divide us and tear us apart. And that is his economic policy. That's his governing mantra. And the sad thing about this, Matt, is the following. If Derek Van Orden gets elected to Congress, Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to say, wow, you're an extremist. He's further right than she is. This is coming from Wisconsin. And this is not who we are in this state. We can stand on our own. We recognize the importance of hard work and dedication and resilience, but we also recognize this, is that when times are tough, we come together as neighbors and as a community. We don't divide like Derek Van Orden does.
Broadband is another issue that you're focusing on, and I'm very glad we get you into Washington, D.C. at the Capitol. I think Wisconsin 3 is going to be very well represented because this is the broadband idea. You have to take this through the Capitol because we're dealing with it in the state, and we've got guys like Governor Walz, who's doing a great job trying to get it done, but we have the Republicans in the state legislature here that are stalling it, not getting it done, even for their own constituents. This needs to be kind of like the TVA, like this, bringing electricity to the southeastern United States in the 1930s.
Right.
We have to look at this. This is a major foundation of business development in the modern day, and broadband should be from border to border in every state at this point.
It really needs to be. And we need to make sure that we hold these telecommunication companies accountable. We need to make sure that we hold these government agencies accountable as well, to make sure that we get these dollars out to the countryside and we connect our communities and we connect people, may they be in a rural area or may they be in an urban or suburban area. It needs to be connected. As you mentioned, Matt, this is obviously an economic matter, but it's also a public safety matter. If our police and fire and EMS teams do not have access to broadband and to the internet services, it's that much harder for them to respond to an emergency, and it's that much harder to keep our communities safe, and it's that much harder to make sure that we can take care of our loved ones, maybe it be our grandparents or our parents, or even our next door neighbor who has fallen ill and needs EMS assistance. That has to be done, but that takes dedication, that takes hard work, that takes digging into these issues, holding companies accountable, making sure even the government agencies are held accountable. All of that needs to be done. But I'll go back to Derek Van Orden. He's not running for Congress for that. Derek Van Orden is running for Congress because he wants to divide us. He wants to go on cable news and he wants to continue to divide who we are as Americans. And he wants to dictate to us what our religious beliefs are. Mm-hmm. He wants to define what Christianity is, and he wants to define what patriotism is. That is not who we are here in the upper Midwest and in western and central Wisconsin.
He's a nightmare. I mean, he's an absolute nightmare. One thing I want to also just really quick want to mention to you because of the district, the pandemic obviously exposed a lot of failures in our healthcare system, especially in rural parts of our states. And obviously, you've got to make sure you have the healthcare system there, but it's well staffed and it can take care of people because the reality is we need a healthcare system that can weather a pandemic.
Yes, we do. Oh, without a doubt. And this is a district here that is very rural. And so it's geographically very large and people have to drive a lot of distance. So without a doubt, we have to fix our financing system when it comes to healthcare. There's no doubt about that. We also need to make sure we got Medicare reimbursement dollars that are coming back. Sadly, there's places here in Western Wisconsin in which Medicare reimbursement rates are less per person than they are in the Southeast and Florida. That's sad. That's wrong. But we also need to make sure that we have such important things that we take for granted, but it's needed, that we can still have like birthing services and maternal health care being offered in our rural hospitals. And I'll tell you, I mean, these services keep getting pulled back, and that is a real concern. When we want to attract young families to our area, especially rural areas, and then we want to keep families here, it is important that we have a strong healthcare system. Obviously, we got to look at the financing of this, but we also need to make sure that we have the providers, we have these rural health clinics are in these areas. So very important, Matt.
I want to, obviously, if you're in the Wisconsin third, I'll get back to you here in a second. But for all the people that are listening to me who are not right now, Milwaukee, Madison, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Wausau, throughout the state of Wisconsin, if you're not in the third, you need to get down there and either volunteer to help out Brad's campaign or donate. Make a donation. Help out. This is, if you want a blue wave to happen, it's not going to happen by us sitting back and doing nothing. And this is a huge district. We need a lot of door knocking down there. And the donations, obviously, I'm guessing your gas prices for driving is a little high because it's a big district. So if people want to find your website to help out and volunteer, where do they find that, Brad?
Matt, thanks for asking. www.bradpaff.com. I will spell that. BRADPFAFF.com. Please check it out. I greatly appreciate the opportunity to say hello this afternoon. And Matt, you keep up the good work.
Thank you very much, sir. And I'll make sure I link to all this on social media a little bit later on. For everyone in Wisconsin 3, it comes down to a simple math problem. If you vote, he wins. It's that simple. Right. Get registered to vote. Vote. Call all your friends. Make sure they're registered to vote and they're getting out to vote, because that's the deal breaker right there. Democrats have to vote. And if we get more people voting, Brad's going to win. Brad Paff, right. Wisconsin 3. Brad, thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Matt. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We'll take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Over 98% of people who experience sexual harassment or sexual assault in the workplace choose not to report it. Whether it's the fear of retaliation, belief that a bystander will report it, or worry about career advancement, at MJSB Employment Justice, we help employees take a stand. I'm Bree Johnson, partner at MJSB Employment Justice, a 50% women-owned law firm. If you feel unsure what to do following sexual harassment, we will be your voice to speak your truth.
Be heard. You deserve better. Contact us today for a free consultation at mjsbjustice.com.
Hi, this is Rose. Dad, please don't make me read this next line.
I guess whenever your friends are over, I'll pull out the banjo.
No. Fine. My dad is a mountain of integrity in these trying times, Matt McNeil.
Indeed.
Mountain of something. Fall school days means sports, music, school events, and activities. The Toyota Sienna is perfect. It fits all my friends, and with me now learning to drive, its safety features make my parents happy too.
For top-notch sales and service, go to Rudy Luther Toyota, the southeast corner of 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Tune in this Saturday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on AM 950 for the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show from 7 to 8 a.m. It's the last show of season 6, and we're going to talk about what we do outside of the garden, as well as our favorite garden dishes. Our guest is author Ryan McKinney, and we'll have some thank yous. That's all this Saturday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on AM 950. Catch the replay Sunday mornings from 7 to 8 a.m.
The Electric Fetus is having a store-wide Halloween sale now through October 30th. Take 20% off almost everything in the store, including new and used vinyl, CDs and DVDs, clothing, books, incense, Electric Fetus t-shirts, hoodies, pint glasses, and more. Some restrictions apply. The store is open 10 to 6 Tuesdays through Saturdays and 11 to 6 on Sundays, and closed on Mondays. The Electric Fetus is located just south of downtown Minneapolis at 2000 South 4th Avenue. More info at electricfetus.com.
Broadcasting live on WAUK 540 AM 101 FM, the Shaw and Waukesha, Milwaukee Bull Falls Radio, WXCO 98.9 FM, 1230 AM in Wausau. And, of course, the flagship in Minneapolis, St. Paul, AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. Yeah, Brad Paff. I like Brad Paff. Brad's pretty good. I like Brad. Derek. Oh, Derek. I'm calling you out, you little punk. I'm calling you out. You need to come up here and tell me to my face I'm not a patriot as a disabled veteran. You need to come up here and tell me to my face I'm not a Christian because I'm a leftist. You need to come, because, by the way, Bible, spoiler alert, big lefty stuff. You know, that whole feeding the hungry, taking care of the sick, welcoming in strangers from strange lands. That doesn't include, there's nothing in there about a border wall. There is nothing in there about a border wall. No. I'm just going to call you a punk, Derek. That's all you are, a big old punk. That's all you are. You can come up here and, are you going to get angry? You're a big bully man going to get angry? Ooh. Oh, let me laugh in your face, you absolute jackass. Kitty. 952-946-6205. So I talked a little bit earlier. Of course, I was in South Carolina, and I mentioned this here with Brad. I was in South Carolina, and I want to talk about, I've talked about, Democrats. When I was out of the plane, I was looking at the plane, and I was looking down, I could see the roads and the fields. It's like everything you see is, well, thanks, Democrats, because there was one really big house, and outside of it, there was like a trailer park. And I was looking at this from 30,000 feet. So, well, there you can see the Republican. That one guy, basically, the Republicans can't strap on their knee pads fast enough for him. So you have that. That's what you can see from 30,000 feet. But I will say this. The Republicans, I was kind of surprised by something. The first time I went down to Beaufort, South Carolina, I was on the coast. And by the way, you should go. It's absolutely gorgeous. And you don't like my politics, fine. Go down there. The food is freaking amazing, man. The food down there, I don't care what political aspirations you have. Go down there, just eat the food. Oh, unbelievable.
That high on the Waffle House?
No, not the Waffle House. Well, actually, it's not bad. I know. No, they do chicken. We don't have fried chicken like they do down there. It's fried chicken.
That is true. Yes.
That is a religion down there. Oh, I had a cheesy garlic biscuit that quite literally has the greatest weight of any substance known to man. I mean, boy, is that delicious. And then hopefully in 4 to 5 months, that will finally clear the system. So go team, go. No, I was down there. And I was in this waterfront park. And apparently at one point, Bay Street, this is Bay Street. The bay literally came up to the buildings. They literally came up to the buildings. And they have this like it's like 100 yards further out. They created this buffer zone. They've got a marina. It's really nice. And it's a relatively protected bay. So this is pretty much going to take care of the downtown area and make sure there's no real major damage there. I mean, they had Hurricane Matthew come through a few years ago. Not me, no. No, that was not me after a few hurricanes at the old bar. Woo, how about the town? No, it was actually a hurricane named Matthew that came through. And they weathered it fairly well. The person that helped build that was Strom Thurmond. Yeah, that's Strom Thurmond, who used to be far right in the party. He'd right now basically be, borderline moderate within the Republican Party. Strom Thurmond did this, so I had friends like, well, yeah, you can criticize Republicans all you like, but Strom Thurmond built that. I said, really? Now, granted, you get long enough in serving in Senate and the House, you get there long enough, you get your pork projects basically rubber stamped. They will get them done. I mean, it's just one of the benefits of it. If you drive down to Paul Ryan's district, the former district down there, and you go down, he brought in tons of money. They redid all the interchanges there because of pork projects. That's what happens. Jim Oberstar, northern Minnesota. Gosh, all those roads up there. Those roads used to be atrocious, and Oberstar brought tons of money into that. When Colin Peterson out in Minnesota 7, farmer, when he was the head of the ag committee, tons of money went into that district. That's what happens. But I started looking into it because Democrats will go do something and saying, well, hey, you know what? Maybe we should build this because we don't want a hurricane to wipe out the downtown. Republicans generally are not so point A to point B. And I discovered the actual truth about this. I went and did some research about used to be, especially if you're in these hurricane zones, what would happen is they'd say, well, you got insurance. Well, you don't have storm insurance, and so you're going to have to pay for the damage. And so you get storm insurance, and they come back, well, you had storm insurance, but you don't have hurricane insurance. You have to have the hurricane insurance. So you then go get the hurricane insurance. And then they come back and they say, well, you had storm and hurricane insurance, but you didn't have flood insurance. You need to have the flood insurance. So they got the flood insurance. And then they come back and they say, well, you had all three of those, but you have to have high wind insurance. We're not going to pay the claim. So finally, and it's not just in this town, but in many towns, they actually made a requirement to where to have a business or have a house there, you had to have all of those. That's just kind of that area, so that people weren't getting ripped off. And it's kind of one of those things. And so the insurance companies, who frantically no longer could just take advantage of the people, frantically went to him and say, well, if there's a storm that hits now, they all got insurance now. We can't go out there and not give it to them. So we need you to go do something. So that's what kind of spurred this buffer zone park area that they built there. Wasn't necessarily out of the goodness of Strom Thurmond's heart. Sweet Jesus, no. Sweet, I can't even say that with a straight face. The goodness of Strom Thurmond's heart. Holy God, no. No. Dear God. Edgar Winter wasn't white enough for that guy. Ugh. Casper is a little bit too ethnic for him. That was a yee. He's a I could do that all day. A jar of marshmallow fluff looks like turkey gravy to that man. No, that's Strom Thurmond. God rest his soul. I mean, whatever. Anyway, but it wasn't out of the goodness of his heart. He didn't go over there and do this. He did this because he got campaign donations, and he got this. They came and kissed the ring, and so he went out and did this. And apparently, they did this in multiple towns, and it's the right thing to do anyway. So the question I have for you, if you're out there, you're considering who you're going to vote for. And we had Brad Pfaff, who's an absolutely outstanding candidate for Wisconsin 3. Whoever you're going to vote for, ask yourself this: are you going to vote for the guy who's going to be proactive, that's looking to solve the problems that occur to you on a daily basis? Or are you only looking for the person who then, once the disaster happens, when the problem happens and people are getting news coverage and the media is there, that's when they come on out and they only put on their concerned face and they'll just give the bare minimum just to get you by. But you better say thank you 1,000 ways from Sunday because, Republicans. I'd rather just do it the right way, that to have the people who are going to look out for the community. And what Brad Pfaff brought up, and I want to make sure we say this, his opponent will not help anyone but the most far-right loonball in that district. If you aren't the most extremist far-right person, he will not help you. And that goes for all the races in Wisconsin and in Minnesota. The Republicans will not help you if you are in need, because that is who they are today. That is who they are. So save yourself the heartache and vote Democrat. And for God's sakes, Wisconsin, Minnesota, vote. Vote, vote, vote. Go out there and vote. Make sure you have to do that. Devil Radio coming up for most of the Wisconsin stations. Minneapolis, St. Paul, hour 2 up next.
Better Futures Minnesota's Reuse Warehouse has big news. We have a brand new online store. Check out reusebfm.com. This is a great way to see what we carry in the Reuse Warehouse: appliances, building materials, kitchen and bath fixtures, lighting, flooring, lumber, heating and cooling items. Don't miss the beautiful benches and COVID safety shields that are hand-built using reclaimed wood from our deconstruction projects. Check out reusebfm.com. That's reusebfm as in betterfuturesminnesota.com.
Hi, I'm Kelly Tanky.
And I'm Joe Kirk.
Tune in to AM 950's newest show, Searching for Service, a show designed to help current and future Rotarians find purpose through service.
We are dedicated to sharing stories, experiences, and opportunities for those searching for purpose, value, and meaning.
But more importantly, connection through community. Tune in Sundays at 3 p.m. or anytime via podcasts.
It's time to stop searching and start serving.
It's Brad Friedman, host of the Bradcast, weeknights at 7 on AM 950. KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AP News, I'm Ed Donahue. Vermont Senator Patrick Leahy was asked about the attack that put House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband in the hospital.
But that's a terrible thing. I mean, I've known Paul
forever.
A man was in Pelosi's home in San Francisco early this morning.
Half the time in Vermont, we don't even lock our doors.
San Francisco Police Chief Bill Scott says the suspect's name is David Dupepe.
The motive for this attack is still being determined. Mr. Dupepe will be booked at the San Francisco County Jail on the following charges: attempted homicide, assault with a deadly weapon, elder abuse, burglary, and several other additional felonies.
But people with knowledge of the investigation say the suspect was targeting Nancy Pelosi, who was not at home at the time, shouting, "Where's Nancy?" The chief says Paul Pelosi was beaten with a hammer. Big gains on Wall Street today. The Dow gained 828 points. Meantime, a key U.S. inflation gauge stayed at a high 6.2% in September. Here's the AP's Ben Thomas.
The Commerce Department report shows consumer prices up 6.2% in September over a year earlier. The report also shows consumers spent more last month, even after adjusting for inflation, up 0.6% from August to September.
Former President Donald Trump is lashing out at the judge handling the New York Attorney General's fraud lawsuit against him and his company, calling the judge vicious, biased, and mean in a social media post just days before the case's first court hearing. The supermodel Gisele Bündchen and her Super Bowl winning quarterback husband Tom Brady have announced they're getting a divorce. They've been married for 13 years. A federal judge refused to bar a group from monitoring outdoor ballot boxes in Arizona's largest county, saying to do so would violate constitutional rights. Some have been taking photos and videos and following voters. This is AP News.
We tried Dynovite for gut health and immune support, and after a couple of weeks, our little Gizmo was acting like a puppy again. His coat was shinier, he had a lot less scratching and shedding, and he seemed like his happy old self.
My dog smelled and scratched constantly. We bathed and sprayed her, took her to the vet, but no results. Now, a little Dynovite in her food helps Bella keep her beautiful coat with no scratching or smell.
Get 10% off your next order of Dynovite nutritional supplements for dogs at Dynovite.com. Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dynovite.
Here's a message just for the attorneys out there. So you passed the bar, joined a firm, or even built your own. Now are you finding out that you're doing more administration than actual law practice? Lexicon can help. Lexicon is a legal technology provider with over a decade of experience streamlining administrative tasks like timekeeping, billing, and more, so you can focus on maximizing billable hours and increasing client satisfaction. Call 855-4-LEXICON or visit lexiconservices.com/go to learn more.
Hey, John, I heard you're turning 65 this year. Time to start comparing your Medicare insurance options.
I'm so overwhelmed with all the different Medicare companies and plan designs. I don't even know where to begin.
Really? I worked with CompareYourMedicare.com, and they made my Medicare decisions seem easy.
Oh, really? What do they do?
CompareYourMedicare.com represents several of the top Medicare insurance companies in Minnesota. A local licensed agent will help you compare Medicare plans to determine which products best meet your needs and budget.
Hi, this is Jared with CompareYourMedicare.com. We're a local small business that prides itself in helping our community with their Medicare needs. Medicare is complex, but it doesn't have to be. Whether you're planning to retire early or work past Medicare eligibility at age 65, give us a call. We can guide you through how and when to apply for Medicare. Go to CompareYourMedicare.com or call 952-465-0074 to schedule a consultation. CompareYourMedicare.com is part of the Minnesota Health Insurance Network of Agents.
Hi, I'm Claire Ferreira, president and owner of Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Ever since my grandfather founded Standard over 90 years ago, word-of-mouth advertising and referrals from our customers have always been important. That's why, after serving over 500,000 customers, we're proud to have a 4.9-star average rating out of 5 on our online reviews. Check them out for yourself and find out more at standardheating.com. That's standardheating.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 62. Tonight, clear with a low around 44. And Saturday, sunny with a high around 66. Crooner's Supper Club is a little piece of old-school nightlife in the 21st century. Enjoy a delicious dinner, fabulous cocktails, and music from some of the best jazz artists. Delicious dinner options include the mouth-watering prime rib and crusted walleye. Crooner's Supper Club is located just north of Highway 65 and 694. More at croonersmn.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour 2 of the show here on your Friday. Matt McNeil, Brett, Got Dancing coming up here a little bit later on. I got a heck of a song too, man. I do want to mention, we got John Crippen coming on over from the Hennepin History Museum. They've got Murders and Monsters, the story of Harry Hayward and other Victorian horrors. He killed some people. He killed some people there. And I didn't know anything about this guy. But I ran into someone over at the Hennepin History Museum who seemed to be way too eager about it. Let me tell you about this history. Okay. He was interesting. All right. I'm going to wet myself now. No, I like a good scare too. I might have to go over there. I might have to go over there. They're doing it tomorrow night, the 29th, and then the 30th. Perfect. Little Halloween action.
Oh yeah.
Perfect.
Right on the weekend before Halloween.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Gotta be there. I've got the candy ready to go. Not for this, but for Halloween night.
Oh yeah.
What is your favorite candy on Halloween?
I probably got to go with a Kit Kat.
Ugh, really?
Yeah, you don't like Kit Kats?
No, I do like Kit Kats.
Oh, come on.
I just had to do that. It's not like it's like a Milk Dud or, Boston baked beans. What the heck? Where did you find this in your basement from the 1970s? You take the DeLorean back to go get these? Chuckles? How old are those?
The guy who's passing out Werther's originals.
Individually, not even wrapped. Here you go. 2, 3, or 4 for your bag there. Make sure you wash those up before you have those. I remember I used to go around. You used to get the candy like Charlie Brown gets the candy. Well, he got the rock, but they just throw like a bunch of candy in there, and you get like the individually wrapped butterscotches. Remember that? God, I'm old. I know. In this day and age, it's basically most of the people who are listening to me, the only thing they ever had on trick-or-treating was candy bars. The mini versions of the candy bars, which compared to what we get now, seem like the large size today. But you used to just get candy bars. Or you get candy bars now. But back then you used to get popcorn balls. Do you know anyone in your neighborhood that does popcorn balls anymore?
No, I do not.
Oh, those were tasty. A little hair in there, but nothing wrong with that. There were some that did candied apples, which was, and there's no quicker way to crack a tooth there. I mean, that's hard candy. I got to lick the apple before I get to eat the apple. All right.
Sounds like it could be like a dentist conspiracy theory.
sounds like it could be a fun night. Hello there.
Yeah.
Who wants to watch me lick the apple? Speaking of creepy. No, so candy apples, you get and they would do them so nicely. I don't even know where you'd buy this. They like buy this, the plastic wrap, and they tie them up with little homemade bow, and there you go. That's a lot better. And it was a freaking apple, man. I mean, that was candy. I mean, it wasn't like you get here's your, lozenge size, peanut butter cup. Yeah. What the hell's that? Can I ask that? Why are you polluting the earth with so much paper just for basically a Tic Tac size Reese's peanut butter cup? Come on. I'm by the way, I am team Almond Joy. I do like the Almond Joy.
Oh, Almond Joys.
I do like that one. It's the only time I ever have them. I know there are people out there who's like, Almond Joys. No, Almond Joys, I love them, man. Almond Joys are great. Mounds, come on. What are you doing? That's just a crime. That's a crime. Get an Almond Joy. How many kids will you have?
Probably none given my living situation. So it's similar to an apartment.
Still under the bridge, I see.
Yeah.
It's okay. Where you're in an apartment, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. And then there aren't any kids in the neighborhood?
Not really, no.
There is, and that's normal. I'm not saying that's not a personal reflection on you, Brad. I want to make sure that's okay.
No, I haven't lived anywhere since probably when I worked radio in Iowa, where I've actually had kids in the neighborhood that can trick or treat.
Yeah.
So it's been a while for me.
There's a neighborhood that's about a mile from our house, and it is off by itself. It is kind of tucked away. And one of the neighbors came through on Halloween. I was out walking around with the kids. One of the few years I actually walked around with the kids. Most of the time I'm working the door. I was out walking around. The guy's like, why aren't you guys coming over to our neighborhood? And it was like, first of all, it was like 27 degrees. It was a cold Halloween. I already know there's maybe like 4 houses over there that might have some candy. There was no kids over there. There are maybe 1 or 2. But for the amount of walking you're going to have to do, it's a lot of lights that are out. You know what I mean? Oh, dude, man, trick-or-treaters. All right, you like French fried onions? Here you go. Throw you a can of French fried onion. Here's minestrone soup. You like minestrone? Minestrone keeps you going. There you go. That's a soup that leaks like a meal. There, enjoy. That's what you get. I'm not going to go do that. I have a good neighborhood. I'll probably, if my numbers work out as usual, somewhere between 75 and 125, depending on the.
Really, that's a lot. It seems.
Well, 75 usually on the weeknights. It's going to be interesting. I think, is this the first Monday we've had in a while for a Halloween?
Well, I think why you might get a lot this year too. It's supposed to be like in the mid 60s that day. It's going to be great trick or treat.
I'll be sitting out in the front porch with some lit pumpkins in a thong. Hey, who wants some candy? Oh, trick or treat, my friends. Trick or treat. Actually, I do have for the neighbor kids that we've seen grow up, the young ones. Not 15-year-old, no. But the young kids, I do have the full-size Cadbury bars. The full size. The light up on their face. And kind of the anger from the parents. I don't know why. But I give them
that's kind of like your insurance protection program from getting egged or something by kids, if you hand out the good candy bars.
Well, the 6-year-old, how jaded is that kid if he's already on the hell? Takes the milk duds, chucks them on the ground, grabs into his bag, 3 eggs at the door, and runs. No, little Billy, what the hell, man? No, that's usually the older kids. I'm looking forward to it. I got to carve some pumpkins up this weekend too. I got to rake up a ton of leaves. That's my weekend, raking leaves and carving pumpkins. So. Yeah, well, and then also I might head over, like I said, to the Hennepin History Museum and catch one of those 2 nights, either tomorrow night or maybe the Sunday night. I might catch the Sunday night one. Get myself really into the scary spirit. 952-946-6205. Remind me on Monday to tell you about the greatest haunted house room of all time.
Oh, that could be fun.
The greatest house, and I was actually part of that. The greatest haunted house room of all time. I'll tell you on Monday, okay? I don't have time today. I got too many other things I got to get to. Starting with the Real House of Horrors, the Star Tribune. Jesus. I read this story. I stopped. I went and reread the story. I was like, what the hell are you guys doing? This is a story. I'm not going to post this because this is just, I don't know what this is. Well, I mean, it's a political hit piece. That's all it is. Could Minneapolis officials have stopped feeding our future fraud sooner? Now, I don't have, my one criticism I'll say, Keith Ellison was somewhat critical, pointing the finger at the federal authorities. They took 17 months to issue indictments. The federal government works slowly. Take a look where they're still working on the Minneapolis police thing. And that's going to change a lot of things, hopefully, at the Minneapolis Police Department when they come down with their findings. But that is, you get basically a fairly long investigation with the amount of money. I'm not surprised by that. But the article then takes a very hard right turn to basically, and what it feels like to me, and I've read this, is it feels like what they're doing is going after Ellison's criticism of the federal government for taking 17 months by basically saying, well, but he, should he have found it earlier? Now, the Attorney General's office has broad authority to conduct civil fraud investigations, could have initiated its own probe and demanded nonprofits bank records before the Fed stepped in. Ellison began representing the Education Department in court when Feeding Our Future sued the department in November 2020 for blocking its expansion plans. If Ellison's office had used its investigative power to pull bank records, it could have found that these. No, I want to go back. I want to focus on one word there. If the Star Tribune has put out a news story where the juncture of the story is a hypothetical, if he would have done this, if he would have seen this, if he would have taken care of this, if he would have, if. No, you can't. The second you do that, your entire argument is not journalism. It's a political hit piece because you're criticizing people for things that they hadn't done. And they come back in the article later on to say, well, this wasn't like the Petters case where they had a whistleblower and surely Feeding Our Future would have fought any court records. So it's unknown whether or not he could have actually done this in the first place. But that doesn't matter, apparently, to the Star Tribune. The Star Tribune can put the word if out there and vilify anyone. It is infuriating to me that it is, because immediately, Republicans jumped on this and said, see, the Star Tribune said Keith Ellison dropped the ball. No, they didn't. They did a hypothetical on a hypothetical on a hypothetical. Let me give you an example of this. All right, here is legitimate criticism. The Minnesota Department, or this Minnesota Republican Party, the Minnesota Republican Party applauded Kim Crockett when she played an anti-Semitic video at the convention. Ta-da! See? Factual. Hey, the former head of the Minnesota GOP was BFFs with a guy named Lazaro, who, he's in trouble. Factual. See how that works? Pete Stauber voted against Stubby up there in 8. He voted against the infrastructure bill, but seems to be trying to take credit for it. Factual. See, this is how factual is. That's nothing there. You don't have to, I don't have to speculate. I don't have to add anything. I can just basically say, here's what happened. And for them to do this, I want to make sure as well, I point out, for them to do this, the Star Tribune did not cover another story, which is not a hypothetical on a hypothetical on a hypothetical, which only seems to exist to have given Republicans talking points against Keith Ellison. But they did not, at least I could not find it. The story of the campaign to elect Republican Jim Schultz as Minnesota's next attorney general has been accused of violating campaign finance rules by allegedly collaborating with a super PAC to run ads against Schultz's DFL opponent, Keith Ellison. George Sewell, S-O-U-L-E, vice chair of the Minnesota Campaign Finance and Public Disclosure Board, concluded there was prima facie violations of state rules after the DFL submitted a complaint concerning more than $800,000 of ad spending. The whole campaign finance board now decide in the next 6 weeks whether there's probable cause for the violations warrant a formal investigation. So they basically said, oh yeah, we've got evidence here that he did. This is something that has happened. This is a definitive. This is not a hypothetical. Funny, Star Tribune doesn't report at all this story, which is critical of Schultz. Instead, we are dealing with if. Oh, that Keith Ellison, if he would have done this, and if he would have done this, and if he would have done this, well, but this is and here is why I get mad at this. Star Tribune, don't you dare come back to me and tell me that this wasn't Republican. Let's go back to when Dante Wright was killed up in Brooklyn Park. What did the far rightos say about that? Well, if he would have jumped in his car and if he would have driven it at those cops, if he would have done that, he might have killed those people. And if that would have happened, that could have killed them. If, not substance, not reality. You're saying to me in the case of Keith Ellison that he was supposed to step on the toes of the federal investigation that was going on. Because that was another known at that point. The federal government was already investigating the crime. But you're saying that Keith Ellison should have, started going after things, even though it's not clear if he should have been aware of those. It's not clear. It's pretty clear that they wouldn't have given up the bank records. But you see, you can vilify anyone with a hypothetical on a hypothetical on a hypothetical. Republicans do it all the damn time. Here's the other part, which is interesting. It's clear someone gave the Star Tribune some legal advice on this. It's clear there. If Ellison's office had used the investigative powers, the pull bank records, it could have found the alleged conspirators paid, blah, 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 blah. According to the Star Tribune's review of federal indictments. So what they're saying is, okay, I want to hear this more about this. Are you saying your journalists started reviewing the federal indictments and they know law well enough to where they could say, well, if he would have done this, and if he would have done this, and if he would have done this, if he would have done this, wow, he would have been able to catch him. I don't think so. Because if I was a journalist, I would realize just because I might like law and order, it doesn't make me an authority on legal matters. I would have to bring someone in. My gut feeling is someone came to the Star Tribune with this little, hey, look what we found. Oh, if he would have done this, and if he would have done this, if he wanted this, smoking gun. Well, it's a hypothetical non-existent smoking gun, but I don't know what else to think here. This is just irresponsible. It's not journalism. I don't even call it journalism. This is a hit piece. If. And I don't care that later on in the story, you clearly come back and say, well, it's unlikely he would have done it. The point was to get out that if. If he would have done this, we would have caught him. You can't say that. And for you to report that as some sort of, at the very least, implied factual statement, my God, how irresponsible are you? About 3 weeks ago, Republicans started screaming this whole mentality of, we're winning, we've won, we're going to win. And all of a sudden you started seeing these news outlets putting forward these, Democrats in trouble. I said, don't tell me that you are not looking at a concerted campaign to get Democrats to not vote, to discourage the Democratic voter. You know what this does? This pisses me off. That's what it does. It makes me want to vote. Because you know what? I'm not going to have the media or Republicans dictate to me what rights I should and should not engage in. These guys are a freaking train wreck. And I'm going to play a video here in just a second. Audio, I should say. It's radio. I'm going to play some audio for you in a second, which is going to show you what a train wreck they are. But the reality is I am tired of this because the reality points to the Democrats doing very well this election cycle. And so I'm tired of hit pieces and I'm tired of this. Why don't you report on the facts? Like Schultz is in trouble for campaign, possibly coordinating. His campaign might be in trouble for coordinating campaign spending. That's a fact. I don't need a hypothetical. That actually freaking happened. And you know what else happened? Keith Ellison has won every goddamn case he has taken to court. Every single one. When are you going to report that one, Star Tribune? Oh, that's right. If. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Take a break, come back. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bangstad from the Minocqua Brewing Company, and I sell Choice Hard Seltzer. Choice is an all-natural, 105-calorie grapefruit-flavored hard seltzer for those who believe that a woman's reproductive decision should remain a private matter between her and her doctor. When you purchase Choice Hard Seltzer, 5% of the proceeds go to support reproductive rights organizations in Minnesota.
Drink progressively with Minocqua Brewing. Get Choice Hard Seltzer at Lake Wine and Spirits in Uptown and Falls Liquor in Minneapolis. Find other Twin Cities locations at MinocquaBrewingCompany.com.
It's an absolute must for any true foodie. Vinaigrette at 50th and Xerxes in South Minneapolis offers premium oils and vinegars for the most discriminating of tastes. This is Sarah Piepenberg, owner of Vinaigrette. We bottle on-site, there's no guesswork, and you get to taste test each and every oil and vinegar we offer. Our direct relationship with the growers ensures an uncompromised level of satisfaction. When you need to know you're cooking with the finest ingredients, first contact the independently owned Vinaigrette, 50th and Xerxes in South Minneapolis. Online at vinaigrettemn.com.
I'm John Peterson of Ferndale Market, and I'm the third generation to grow turkeys on our family farm in Cannon Falls. We've grown them the same way since 1939, free range and without antibiotics. We're proud of the way our turkey tastes naturally, so we never add fillers or basting solutions, just 100% pure turkey. And we're proud to remain an independent family farm. Looking for an extra special addition to this year's Thanksgiving feast? Our fresh, never frozen turkeys remove the hassle of thawing and can be picked up just days before your celebration. Available at natural food stores across the region. Reserve your fresh, free-range Thanksgiving turkey for pickup at our store right on our farm in scenic Cannon Falls or at one of our retail partners. For more information on finding our Ferndale Market Thanksgiving turkey near you, visit us at ferndalemarket.com. That's ferndalemarket.com. Thank you for your support of local foods and farmers. We'll hope to see you at Ferndale Market soon. ferndalemarket.com.
Hi, I'm Kirk Duckwall with the Twin Cities Real Estate Show here on AM 950. If you listen to our show, you know that we know what is really happening with our market. With tools like our market meter and real-time showing reports, we can show you the best times to list your house. If you would like not just a market analysis, but a total market overview, or just have a real estate question, give me a call at 651-303-0019 or anytime at housegeeks.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show, 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Let's get him in here before too long. Gary is in Minneapolis. Welcome on in, Gary.
Hi, Matt. How you doing?
I'm doing well, sir.
Good to hear your voice. I was just going to say these Republicans in Washington, these politicians in Washington, they want to keep us on corporate, the more corporate health care, the better. But when it comes to them, they have the best big government health care right in the basement of the Capitol.
Well, they do. That's not undeniable.
Yeah. Well, nice to talk to you, Matt. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the phone call. Thanks. Gary in Minneapolis, 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. It was an interesting debate today. Once again, Jensen just doesn't seem to be ready for debating. This was, I think, the NPR one that they did now today. This is reminder. Governor Walz never wanted to debate. Where's the debate? Well, there's a debate today. All right. Asked whether COVID was a deadly problem. Jensen says no. He said ventilators used to treat COVID were the deadly problem. Walz immediately responds saying 13,463 Minnesotans, by the way, and I'm adding this, did not die from ventilators. They died of COVID. If those families are listening, I'm deeply sorry for your loss, and I know that the state of Minnesota put that as a top priority, not some internet ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, but the best science. That's what he put out. Jensen, goes out there and says, will the state require a COVID vaccine in public schools? Well, says he doesn't expect it to be needed, but he can't predict what variants might come through. And what he's sort of implying, what Jensen's implying is that the Black Plague itself could come through and we could have a vaccine. And you know what? People like blisters and pustules. You know what? I think we should keep that. No, I don't. I think the Black Plague makes everyone look good. That's kind of the way I took it there. Walz has come on out here, and he just there's this whole idea that Jensen is now some sort of newfound, I found my new abortion stance. And Governor Walz did a brilliant thing. Do you have that video ready to go? Here we go. Okay. We're going to play this. This is 2 minutes of Scott Jensen basically saying, nope, you can't get an abortion ever. A position which he has changed dramatically. He insists he's changed since the overturning of Roe v. Wade, or he could be lying. It's one of the two here. So why don't we play this?
No kidding, Sherlock. You're darn right we do. And we're going to. And we're going to get something done when we're governor. We're going to ban abortions. That's really not news.
And I've never been someone who said, well, I'm going to create a definitive list as to what would be eligible criteria for a medical abortion to be done in order to preserve the life of the pregnant woman. I don't think that you can say incest or rape because you don't necessarily have a chance to prove that.
Any exception for rape or incest?
Well, again, I think if those two events, either one, would cause a woman's health to be in danger, then it would be an exception. But otherwise...
Only if it causes the mother's health to be in danger then?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you see any situation where abortion should be legal? Rape, incest, mother's life in
If the mother's health is at risk, I think that life has to be prioritized. And so in that situation, I see that as the one exception.
We'll seek more restrictions on abortion in Minnesota.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No exceptions for rape or incest?
Unless the mother's life is in danger.
If the U.S. Supreme Court overturns Roe versus Wade,
what abortion legislation would you consider in Minnesota? And let me start with Scott Jensen. I have a 100% rating from MCCL, and I look to the MCCL to help support and guide what they'd like us to do. I know that there are rumors swirling around that when I voted for an omnibus bill, I ended up somehow supporting something I wasn't supposed to. The MCCL has been a diligent organization for the pro-life movement, and I've had a 100% score with them all the time. So I would basically sign anything that they said we should do, because we're going to be pro-life.
The U.S. Supreme Court may well overturn Roe versus Wade this summer. If that happened, abortion would still be legal in Minnesota. If you were governor, would you try to impose new restrictions on abortion, or would you try to ban it outright?
I would try to ban abortion. I think that we're basically in a situation where we should be governed by pro-life. There is no reason for us to be having abortions going on.
There you go. It's not 40 years ago. It's 4 months ago. Okay. Listen to that eagerness as he's on the campaign trail. Listen to that eagerness about, I'm going to get rid of him. So now all of a sudden it's, wait a second here. Wherever you get the idea. We got the idea from you, knucklehead. You're the one out there saying, nope, never. And do not trust him. Do not trust Jensen. Do not trust Schultz. Do not trust any Republican. They will try to undo Doe v. Gomez in the state of Minnesota. They will try to undo that. Your rights are being taken away. This does supersede pretty much any other issue. You will not have the rights to make your own decisions. It's that simple. It's that simple. You have to vote straight DFL ticket, because if one of those clowns gets in power, even the freaking auditor, they'll try to find some way to undermine abortion rights in Minnesota. They will. That is not me making it up. That's coming from Jensen himself. It's coming from Schultz himself prior to 4 months ago. Now all of a sudden, I don't want to, because they know that people are angry. And if I can, to all the Democrats out there, shame on you. Shame on you if after 50 years of these guys promising that they were going to get rid of it, that you fall for their lies in 4 months of them pleading, don't listen to anything I said prior to June. You are a fool if you believe that. This about abortion is on the ballot this year, 100%. Get out there and vote. Act like your rights are on the ballot, because they are. And they won't stop at this. They'll go after contraception. They'll go after gay marriage. They'll go after interracial marriage. They'll eventually bring back the sodomy laws. That is who they are. They're a crazy train aimed for the furthest right expanses of their party, and they have no intention of stopping. They just hope you're stupid enough to fall for their lies. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. We'll tell you what, we'll take a break. Come on back. We'll change things up dramatically. We're going to get into some spooky stuff when we do return. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Hi, I'm Rachel Shamblatt. My dad is Dr. Scott Shamblatt from Shamblatt Family Dentistry. A lot of people are afraid of the dentist, but you don't have to be. My dad makes going to the dentist comfortable and even fun. He won't be mad if you haven't seen a dentist in a long time. He just wants to take care of you and your teeth. If you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth, because they're the only ones you get.
Shamblatt Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblattfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
Nightingale is your cozy, comfortable neighborhood restaurant in the Whittier neighborhood at 26th and Lindale. Nightingale has patio, dining room, and bar seating available. Plus, they still have takeout and delivery. Their menu has lots of delicious options like the famous Nightingale burger and fries, ginger tamari chicken wings, smoked chicken liver pate, and more. They're open from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. daily with their full menu until midnight. So make the friendly neighborhood Nightingale your go-to restaurant in South Minneapolis. Place an order, make a reservation, and more at nightingalempls.com.
Habitation presents a radio drama.
But soft, what light in yonder window breaks? It is the east, and it's ruining my sleep.
Oh, come on, honey. Do you have to be so dramatic? We can get some window treatments.
Fabulous. Habitation now carries Hunter Douglas window treatments. They can help us pick the perfect shade.
Habitation Design, located in the District Edina, 7777 Washington Avenue South. Habitation, put some drama into your interior design.
Hey, it's Patrick. Football season is building up, and so is the nastiness in your carpets and air ducts. It's time to call Zero Res and beat the holiday rush. Every surface Zero Res does is specifically designed to preserve and maximize the life of your investments in your home. But also ask yourself before you turn on your furnace, do you know how much built-up dirt, dander, and other allergens are hiding in your air duct system? With Zero Res this month, the more you buy, the more you save. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $139 or 5 rooms starting at $199. That's a 43% savings. Book now to get the best carpet cleaning deal of the season. And don't forget about your air ducts. Help your furnace perform its best this winter by removing all the nasty dirt, dander, and harmful debris from your HVAC system. Plus, Zero Res will give you $75 off any air duct cleaning package. Call 952-ZERO-RES or visit ZeroResMinnesota.com to schedule your appointment today.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 62. Tonight, clear with a low around 44. And Saturday, sunny with a high around 66. Crooner's Supper Club is a little piece of old school nightlife in the 21st century. Enjoy a delicious dinner, fabulous cocktails, and music from some of the best jazz artists. Delicious dinner options include the mouth-watering prime rib and crusted walleye. Crooner's Supper Club is located just north of Highway 65 and 694, or at croonersmn.com.
I believe you were expecting me.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. John Crippen from the Hennepin History Museum is kind enough to join us today. And, John, I'm going to let you go. You're not on with the Wisconsin people now. I don't have to have 2 weeks of angry Wisconsin calls anymore. So I'll let you. Anything you want to say about the Vikings or the Gophers at this point?
No, I'm back in safe confines and happy with my Minnesotans. So thank you for that.
Just tell me the Gophers aren't going to lose to Rutgers tomorrow, for goodness sakes.
Rutgers doesn't belong in the Big Ten, in my opinion. But the Big Ten, it's not the one we grew up with. So what do? Change happens, right?
Yeah, it does, and not much we can stop about that. I want to start with one history thing, which is okay. I'm starting to get enough with the blizzard from 91. Okay. Yeah. I get it. It happened. It was a moment. It was, it does happen. It wasn't the biggest storm we ever got. I mean, we've had storms. I was reading about some storms in the 1880s, 1888 that were massive, where feet of snow fell and stuff. It crippled the city for weeks. It's happened. Why do you think the Halloween blizzard of 91 historically has been such fodder for so many people?
That's an excellent question, because Minnesotans we love our weather. So why this one? I think certain storms, they get their mystique. Like before the Halloween blizzard, it was the Armistice Day blizzard before our time. It was like my dad remembers the Armistice Day blizzard. It was just awful. I think what really made this one stand out, for one, Halloween. So everybody was out and wanting to do trick-or-treating, and that didn't happen. And the fact that I think the day started something weird like 70 degrees, and then it was ice, and then it was snow. I mean, it just came out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. So it just took on a life of its own, obviously.
I would agree with you. I think there's an element of this, which is that there are people who enjoy the negative side of Minnesota weather. And so it can happen here, Halloween blizzard. They're the same people. Right. The same people on the first day of spring will remind you of winter is only this many days away. And you're like, okay, just, stop it. Well, you just, why? I don't get this fascination, but it is amazing how much it gets mentioned still today.
I know. And I was talking to a joint friend of ours who's a native of New York, and he just can't stand it. He's lived in Minnesota for 20 years, and he says, I'm going to kill myself if I hear another word about this blizzard. So I'm encouraging him to craft a crabby non-native Minnesota post that we might put on Facebook on Monday, just to, have a new historical perspective.
Well, and you brought the Armistice Day blizzard. I mean, that actually killed a lot of people. Do I remember that correctly?
It really did. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not saying there weren't people that didn't die in the blizzard of 91, but I don't think it was anywhere near what we lost in the Armistice Day blizzard.
No, I don't think so either. I don't remember what the death counts on either are, but you're right. Armistice Day was another one, caught people by surprise. Maybe that's a common theme. But also, what was that, in the 1940s?
Yeah.
Just a lot less ability to dig out and cope. I mean, people, it was a different time and probably harder to get around and that sort of thing.
Well, you just said it, and there's something about that what you just said. My grandparents were on a lake when that storm came in, and they saw it on the other side of the lake, and my grandfather gunned the boat to the shoreline, got it on the nearest shoreline, flipped the boat over. They got underneath it and basically used that as a shelter. And that's how they got through it. And I think and maybe that's what you're looking at is Armistice Day, the 91 blizzard. Oh, it was an inconvenience. Kids had a trick or treat. Oh, this like this, but it wasn't really scary. I don't think people want to remember the scary stuff in that way. It must really actually be that. It must the fact that it was a big event, but not a lot of really bad happened. It just was much more of an inconvenience that started in October as opposed to usually later in the year versus Armistice Day where people still, do the sign of the cross when they're talking about that one.
Yeah, right. It's the other thing, like I've talked about the element of surprise. What drives me a little nutty about weather these days is our models have gotten so much better now. We hear about the blizzards 5 days in advance, and most of them peter out before they get here. But which gives us something else to complain about.
Yeah.
But like the element of surprise is really hard to recreate. Even now compared to 1991, we're so much better. I remember taking a meteorology class in college, and my takeaway from that was the professor said it's the reason we can't be that good about weather predictions is we don't have computer models big enough. We can't model the whole Earth. But actually, that was in the 80s. I'm aging myself. Think about how much more computing power we have since the late 80s.
Yeah.
I'm sure that they actually are getting pretty close to modeling the whole planet at this point.
Well, they're modeling like Venus at this. They're modeling like Venus at this point.
Right. So they're just getting that much smarter there's that much more data that computers can crunch and say, all right, when this happens, we can play out all the scenarios and predict what's going to happen next.
You at the Hennepin History Museum have got some events coming up here tomorrow night and on Sunday night. I'm going to try to hit one of these. Murders and Monsters, the story of Harry Haywood and other Victorian stories at the Hennepin History Museum. Okay, so, I don't want to necessarily give away too much about this one, although, Harry Hayward, he was a bit of character.
I'll give you the nuts and bolts of the story because people have devoted years to studying this. So there's no giving away the lead. It's Harry Hayward was this charming man in 1890s Minneapolis. He became known as the Minneapolis Bengali because he allegedly had this power over people. He could make people do things for him. So he owned a building in downtown Minneapolis called Ozark Flats. It's still there today. And there was a young dressmaker named Catherine Ging who lived in that building. And she borrowed money from him. He made her take out life insurance policies with him as the beneficiary as collateral for the loan. And then he finally decided he wanted to cash in on those life insurance policies. So he got the maintenance man in Ozark Flats to take her out to then called Lake Calhoun and offer. He shot her in the head and dumped her out of the carriage. They pretty quickly found the trail back to Harry. So he was in jail for a year and then finally executed. But this mystique started building around him. How did he get the maintenance guy to do this for him? And a lot of it was just basic leverage. Like he threatened the maintenance guy, I'm going to kill your wife unless you kill this Kitty Ging for me. And so he was a real bad dude, but he had this charming exterior. Then what really, I think, set his place in the mystique in the minds of Minneapolisans to some to this day, admittedly, those of us who are deep into the history, the day before his execution, he sat and gave a 10-hour confession and confessed to 3 more murders that he had done by his own hand, and confessed to a whole host of crimes like arson and counterfeit and all sorts of nasty stuff. And part of the debate, and this is what makes historical topics, for one, I mean, lots of things get people going. True crime gets people going, gore and what have you get people going. But when there's open questions about what was really going on here, there's been questions ever since, like, what was going on with that? Nobody's been able to prove his other murders. And so how much of it was he just a narcissist? We've kind of gotten to know the bad side of narcissism in the last 5 years. And so you can imagine, given the national nightmare we've been living through, you can imagine that this guy is probably lying all the time. So what's true? And you know that he's all about getting attention for himself. So it's a fascinating thing. So we're going to explore all that the next couple nights. Then the really cool thing is we've got Matt Kesson engaged, and he's a local guy. He goes by the name Reverend Matt, and he does monster talks. He's obsessed with monsters. And so he's going to talk to folks about Victorian era monsters. And there's all sorts of cool parallels. We had a conversation with him as we were thinking about what to do for this Halloween. And like, so Victorian England and the Minneapolis Bengali, do they have anything really to do with each other? And the parallels just started tumbling out. Why were people so obsessed with this guy? One of the, Matt talks about, among other things, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and all of those Gothic novels in Victorian England. And the Minneapolis papers were playing up all that stuff. So there's this image of the Dr. Jekyll Harry and the Mr. Hyde Harry. And they're saying, we've got Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde here in Minneapolis. So Matt's going to tie this together and put it in kind of the bigger scheme worldwide from that era. So it should be pretty fun.
I don't want to share too much more of this, although, yeah, it's interesting. That's an interesting debate to have about Harry, that's for sure. And I know there's a few people at the Hennepin History Museum who I didn't even know about this guy. They were like, "Oh, I know all about him." Like, yeah.
Okay, so Matt, I think I might have buried the lead.
Go ahead.
We're a museum. Museums have cool stuff. So on display this weekend, Kitty Gings, the victim, she was an accomplished dressmaker. We've got one of her dresses.
Wow.
We've got the chair that Harry sat in for his confession. Some people call it the murder chair. We've got sections of the rope that hung him, because in the ghoulish 19th century, they would hang a person, and if there was a famous person, they'd cut up pieces of rope and give them out as souvenirs to the people who came to watch the execution. So we've got that, and then we've got a deputy sheriff's badge, and we've got the handcuffs that held him during trial. So there's cool stuff to come and gawk at.
All right. This is really cool. And if you've not been to the Hennepin History Museum, it is fantastic. It's right there next to the MIA on the it's Washburn Park there, right?
Yeah.
Right across the street there. So what is if someone wants to do either the night tomorrow night, the 29th from 7 to 9, or the 30th, Sunday night from 7 to 9, how do they do that?
They go to hennepinhistory.org/event. And we've got a steep ticket price on this because we're doing it as a fundraiser for the museum. So the ticketed price is $50, but for friends of Matt McNeil, we've got a special offer. And if you type in the code #Halloween, you can get a $25 ticket for these events. So please, I encourage all of your listeners to come check us out and throw a few dollars at the museum to help us with our mission, and I think we'll show you a good time.
So when you get to check out, you got to go half off Halloween, Halloween, and you'll cut the ticket price in half. And obviously you're going to have the experts talking about this stuff because this is cool. And this is, by the way, can I just say, ever since the soap factory closed and they were doing that haunted house over there at the old soap factory, which was fantastic. Ever since that closed, this is about the best sounding Halloween thing I've heard. This is fantastic. I'm glad you guys are embracing this holiday because we're not necessarily like London or anything like that. But I mean, Minneapolis, Halloween's a fun holiday, and it's not necessarily just in a creepy ghost. Ooh, it's a fun thing. Everyone seems to always have fun at Halloween.
Yeah, it's a good time. So we're going to try to be tasteful about it. This is a ghoulish murder, and a poor woman was killed, but it's.
But we're going to look on the happy side of it. But we're going to look on the happy side of things. But we're going to lean into the macabre because that's what Halloween's all about. It's kind of scaring people about the chilling things people do to each other sometimes. Yeah, and it's for a lot of people, I think they wouldn't realize that there was this sensational murder that happened here, and sensational, not sensational, like nicely done, but sensationalized. Maybe I should go with that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, this was in the era of yellow journalism. They just went wild with this back in the 1890s.
Oh wow! And I imagine, and people were grabbing the papers just to read the latest updates. So yeah, go find out all about it. The story of Harry Hayward. Other Victorian horrors. This is once again tomorrow night, the 29th, 7 to 9, and then Sunday night, October 30th, 7 to 9. It's at the Hennepin History Museum, and if you use the code half off Halloween, you will be able to get a half price ticket there and enjoy that. John, as always, a good time to chatting with you here. Thank you very much, and all my best with this. Like I said, I'm going to try to get out there either tomorrow or on Sunday night. Okay.
Thank you so much, Matt. I hope to see you.
I look forward to seeing you as well. John Crippen from the Hennepin History Museum. Once again, tomorrow night and Sunday night, 7 to 9 p.m., half off Halloween at the hennepinhistory.org website, and you get a half price ticket. Go enjoy that. We'll come on back, wrap up the show for the week when we do return. It's the Matt McNeil Show on AM 950.
Tune in this Saturday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on AM 950 for the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show from 7 to 8 a.m. It's the last show of season 6, and we're going to talk about what we do outside of the garden, as well as our favorite garden dishes. Our guest is author Ryan McKinney, and we'll have some thank yous. That's all this Saturday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on AM 950. Catch the replay Sunday mornings from 7 to 8 a.m.
Now that autumn is here, get your vehicle service done at Rudy Luther Toyota. Regardless of where you purchased your vehicle, Rudy Luther Toyota is your #1 destination for auto service and repair. For routine maintenance or a larger repair, easily schedule your appointment on their website, rudyluthertoyota.com. That's rudyluthertoyota.com. They fit with your schedule, they're fast and courteous, and they do the job right. I trust them. With the cooler weather, keep your vehicle running at its best with service from Rudy Luther Toyota, 5 miles west of downtown Minneapolis on 394.
As we head into the holiday season, Crooner's Supper Club invites you to enjoy drinks, a delicious dinner, and live music from both big-name local and national artists in a wide array of styles. Before or after your show, check out the new Maggie's Lounge, a perfect spot to visit with friends. It's open Wednesdays through Sundays beginning at 4:30 with cocktails and light fare. And you don't need a ticket to enjoy the great atmosphere of Maggie's. Crooner's Supper Club off Moore Lake and Highway 65. A little piece of old school nightlife in the 21st century.
Is your remote workforce putting your company at risk? Cyber criminals are targeting your employees with COVID-19 inspired emails and attacking businesses like yours. Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. Rymark has the tools and expertise to enable your employees to work securely from home. If you need help getting your staff to work remotely and securely, call 651-328-8900 or go to rymarkit.com. That's 651-328-8900 or rymarkit.com.
We got to vote for M&Ms, by the way. I got to notice M&Ms are what they want for trick-or-treating.
That's a classic one.
Well, I like the peanut M&Ms are nice, too. Gosh, wouldn't it be great if we could go back in time and just go get the regular size candy bars at all these places? Oh, man, it would be fantastic. I would love that. I would absolutely.
More fun size, yeah.
Yeah, fun size is not. That's not fun. That's false advertising. That is false advertising. You are hurting me on the inside. The 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. A lot of people, were commenting, by the way, up on the live streams. You can watch the radio show, and this is a preview. You can watch the show if you like. It's Radio for Your Eyes. Just head on over to either AM 950 on Facebook or Progressive Citizen X. Matt McNeil Show on Facebook. Is it anywhere else broadcasting live right now?
Yeah, YouTube, Twitter, those are the ones we're on mainly right now.
Really?
Outside of Facebook.
Really?
Yep.
I got into this business so I could hide in a room, man. All right.
So
Fine.
Elon Musk can be watching this right now on Twitter.
God. Well, I'll get my hip thrust ready to go. Jeez. If for all the people commenting on there, thank you very much. We appreciate the comments. I also do want to make sure I mention one thing from John Crippen's interview really quick here. Half off Halloween, that's the code. So what you want to do, if you want to go to the super creepy night at the Hennepin History Museum, Murder and Monsters, the story of Harry Hayward and other Victorian horrors. You got to do that technically. That's actually contractual. Tomorrow night, 7 to 9. Sunday night, 7 to 9. If you go there and go to events and you get the tickets there, type in half off Halloween, all one word, half off Halloween. You'll get your ticket for half price. You get in, go enjoy it, and help out the Hennepin History Museum. It is these museums went through a heck of a time during the pandemic. They're just starting to come back. If you can make a donation, help them out. It is greatly appreciated. So I was in South Carolina. I missed this. Doctor Who, the Jodie Whittaker era has ended. She regenerated. There is a scene in that show which is as good as any they've ever done on the show for the entire 60 years. Where, and I'm not going to get into it. It has to do with Rasputin in old time, and they decided to add this song to this. This is Boney M. I think this was like 77. You can go ahead and start.
79 on there.
79. There we go. Boney M. Rasputin. Rah, rah. Indeed. This will take us out today. Have a fantastic weekend. Be safe. Be back here for a Halloween edition of the show on Monday. Until then, see ya.
Russia long ago. He was big and strong in his eyes a flaming glow. Most people look at him with terror and fear. But to Moscow chicks, he was such a lovely dear. He could preach the Bible like a preacher, full of ecstasy and fire. But he also was the kind of teacher women would desire. Rasputin, lover of the Russian queen. There was a cat that really was gone. Rasputin, Russia's greatest love machine. It was a shame how he carried on.
But when his drinking and lusting and his hunger for power became known to more and more people, the demands to do something about this outrageous man became louder and louder.
Electricity costs have hit historic highs, and they're likely to continue rising with no end in sight. If you own a business, those are costs that are eating away at your bottom